Hello, Pokemon. Or Thorlax. What did you say? And you, young lady, who are you? Let me see. Stand up. You're Little Red Riding Hood? Very good. Who else? Anybody else? Only 2 people got dressed up here? 3 people? Yes, who are you? Stand up. Let's go. Come on, in all fairness, you got to stand up. Let me see. Let me see. Oh, you're a Smokey Bear. So we want to thank you for joining us today. Happy Halloween. Today we promise you're not going to get a trick. You're going to get a treat. And our treat today is our professor, Marilyn Rubin, who's going to read The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Are you familiar with The Legend of Sleepy Hollow? Yes, she's Witch Hazel as well. So without any further ado, I'd like for you to greet her with a rousing, robust round of applause. Witch Hazel, a.k.a. Professor Marilyn Rubin, who's going to read The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Take it away, please.
Okay. This happened in New York in the Catskill Mountains. Do you know where the Catskill Mountains are? Okay. Do you know how to read a map? Okay, so when you go home, I want you to read a map. And you promise me?
Yes.
You'll find out where the Catskill Mountains are, okay? Many, many years ago, even before I was born, which was a long time ago, there was a peaceful little valley called Sleepy Hollow. One day, a tall, skinny man came to the village. He was very strange looking, and he looked like a scarecrow from a cornfield. "Whoever is that?" one person asked. "Be quiet," said his neighbor. "He's the new teacher."
Oh, wait. Is he teaching at CAPS? College of Chief? Who knows?
This strange-looking teacher had an even stranger name. Do you know what his name was? Ichabod
Yes,
Crane,
very
right.
good.
But he was very popular with his students, and he was very kind to those whose mothers were good cooks. You know why? So he could go to their house, right, and eat. Often he visited his students in the evening, and oh, how the food disappeared. It was wonderful to cook for a man who ate so well. "Thank you," he always said. He was admired by everyone. Everyone loved him. Well, almost everyone loved him except one person. The one person's name was, Brom Bones. From the very beginning, Brom didn't like Ichabod Crane. Now, Brod was big and strong. He could wrestle everybody, and he could trick everybody, and he was mean and a bully. You all know what a bully is? How awful they are? Now, Brom thought that the teacher was superstitious. Do you know what superstitious means? Superstitious means you get scared of things like on Halloween. So Brom went to the school one night and he turned all of the furniture upside down. When Ichabod Crane came in the next morning, he cried out, "All the ghosts in the county must have held a meeting here, because how else would all of the furniture been turned upside down?" One day, Ichabod met a girl named Katrina, the beautiful daughter of the richest farmer in the whole area. He looked at her and he fell in love with her right away. But there was someone else who also loved her. Do you know who it was? Who do you think? Brom Bones. Ichabod spent so many hours dreaming about Katrina. His thoughts went all around between her beautiful face and her father's money. Oh. So he loved her, but what else did he love? Her father's money, right. Why, he thought, if I could get her to love me, I would have the most beautiful wife in Sleepy Hollow, and I'd own the farm, and I would be rich. So he had two reasons, right? That he really wanted Katrina. She was beautiful and she was rich. Katrina flirted. You know what flirt means? Flirted with both Brom Bones and Ichabod, and Brom got more jealous every day. But every time he was going to try to do something to Ichabod, Katrina showed up. But Brom said to himself, one day I'm going to get him. When Halloween night came, Katrina's father, Farmer Van Tassel, gave a big, big party. And Katrina sent Ichabod an invitation to come. When Ichabod got there, Brom was already there, but Ichabod hardly looked at him. Instead, he went right over to Katrina and he said with a bow, "Good evening, my dear." And Katrina blushed, but Ichabod went over and Katrina gave him a great big smile. So who do you think she really liked? Ichabod. The band struck up a tune, and Ichabod and Katrina began to dance across the floor. All night they danced around the room. Brom Bones just sat in the corner and looked at them, because even though he wanted to ask her to dance, he knew he couldn't dance as well as Ichabod. Ichabod was what we call the man of the hour. He was the one who everybody was looking at, and Brom had to see that too. But there must be a way to put this scarecrow of a man in his place. But how am I going to do it? When the music stopped, Ichabod knocked over a salt shaker. But you know what he did? He threw part of it over his shoulder. You know why? Because he thought that that would keep the ghosts away. He looked and he never could be completely relaxed because he was so suspicious. So Brom came up with an idea. The farmer, Katrina's father, said, "It's Halloween night." And so he asked for someone to tell a ghost story. Brom jumped up and he said, "I know what I'm going to do." And Brom said, "At midnight tonight, the ghosts are going to get together for their party. The worst one of all is the Headless Horseman, who haunts the old graveyard." So the Headless Horseman came out every Halloween and rode around the graveyard where people were buried. So all of a sudden the clock struck 12 and Ichabod began to get very scared. On Halloween night, Brom said, the Headless Horseman hunts for a head to steal from its owner. But he can never get over the bridge, the old hollow bridge. Your only chance, Ichabod, is to get there before he does. But be careful, because the sword has chopped off a lot of heads. To show what the horseman would do, Brom grabbed a head, and to show what the horseman would do, he put the head into Ichabod's face. Ichabod was so scared. Ichabod thought of the spooky ride home alone. He didn't want to go down into the deep, dark hollow. Finally, when everybody else had gone, he knew that he had to go. He called out in his voice shaking, and he said, good night, and he left. The woods grew darker and darker. The night sounds seemed to be getting louder and louder and closer and closer. Ichabod tried to whistle, but he couldn't. The wind was blowing through the trees and it was making eerie sounds. Can you make sounds like the wind would blow through the trees? What would it be? Let me hear. Let me hear.
Come on.
Woo, right? Faster, faster, he tried to get the horse to go, but his horse did not want to go fast. Suddenly he heard an owl. Can you hear? What does an owl sound? Right.
Good.
And the horse got so scared, he jumped and he started to run down the hollow. And Ichabod was holding on to the horse so he wouldn't fall off. Ichabod managed to stay on, but just as he got near the graveyard, there was a big figure on a big black horse that stood in front of him. The horse rose up on its back legs with a sound like thunder. Who was on that horse? Who was on that horse?
The Headless Horseman.
Brahm.
Oh.
Right? Brahm was on that horse. And tell me what sound you think Brahm made. Can you come up with a really bad sound? Right. Ichabod kicked his poor old horse and it ran into the dark, but it was totally out of control. The Headless Horseman began slashing his sword at Ichabod, but whoosh, whoosh, Ichabod ducked down in his saddle and the sword sliced through the air just over his head. If only I can get to the bridge, thought Ichabod, for at the bridge the horseman's power would end. Faster, faster, Ichabod yelled as the old horse stumbled to get to the bridge. As he got to the end of the bridge, Ichabod looked back to see if Brahm was still following. He saw the horseman rise up and throw something through the air. Ichabod couldn't even cry because coming at him was a what? A head. So Brahm was throwing a head at Ichabod. The morning after Halloween, the teacher was gone. He had never missed breakfast before, but today he didn't show up. Later that morning, someone found Ichabod's hat by the bridge. Not far away, they also found a broken pumpkin, and no one can say why that was there. There was no sign of Ichabod Crane, and he was never, ever, ever seen again. Shortly after all of this happened, guess what? Katrina said she would marry who? Who did she say she would marry? Brahm, right.
Very good.
As for Ichabod, some people say that he was just sent away by the Headless Horseman. Other people said that he just moved someplace else. But every once in a while, somebody comes to the hotel there to say that he heard the voice of Ichabod Crane crying in the sleepy, hollow moonlight. So what do you all think? What do you think happened every Halloween night? Who do you think came by every Halloween night? The Headless Horseman. Does anybody expect to see the Headless Horseman here? Did you ever see a Headless Horseman on Ellison Street in Paterson, New Jersey? I mean, the only one we see is the mayor with his leather jacket.
That's right.
But we don't see a Headless Horseman, do we? But I want you all to close your eyes.
Close your eyes.
I'm going to count to 10, And I want you to close your eyes and not open them till I tell you to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Open your eyes and turn around.
Paterson. You want to take a picture? Yes. He's the Headless Horseman.
Anybody want to take a picture with the Headless Horseman?
Don't stand up yet. Don't stand up yet. That's right here.
Goodbye from Rich Mason.
This way.
All right, they said one at a time, right?
One at a time. All right, please. Go straight right there. Go first and then we'll get the Miss George.
Have you ever seen Paul Blart? Well, this is always gonna kick. Guys, smile. Come on. Wow, we're so big. That horse is like 2 of me.
Next up, you don't want to get in?
I'll take this.